I am Satan.
I'm an alcoholic, and my name is Pierre.
I'm Switch, and I'm totally not a Fed.
I am Server Error 404, and I am an autist.
Alright. Episode
Yeah.
1 of the Optimatics, because I'm starting it off at episode 0.
Yeah, just like Stallman's bill of
Yeah.
software rights. Of right 0.
Gotta make Papa Stallman proud, after all. Alright, so, starting things. I had some fucking PGP problems today. I was trying to do some normal package updates for Manjaro, and the standard C++ library kept giving me a PGP error, like it couldn't verify the key signatures. And that took me about 2 hours to fix, and Pierre, you gave me like a pretty, a helpful link. Except the people on the Arch Linux site, they put like the greater than less than signs around the string of text that tells the command where to look for the PGP key. And every time I hit enter, Bash would give back a message saying error detected, new line. And I had an existential crisis because I thought I've been entering commands the wrong way my entire life.
Yeah, I understand a few of the words you just said.
Well, it was ridiculous too, because in the wiki comment, it was a dude saying like, put the PGP key in the array that's provided in the package build into like this command instead of just doing it. Like it was right there, and it's like this kind of advanced autism that exists in like anything esoteric operating systems or ideologies, where they want people to do things in the most obscure way possible because that's how they did it.
Yeah, it's
really
like, why? There's, I've done some stuff with Linux before. I'm not like completely new to it, but why would you put the string of text in those symbols like that? That's not an immediately obvious thing to someone who's new, and it's not like it's some like weird one-off package. It's the standard C++ library. It's one of it's a very core thing.
And they took them more characters to write in, like, to say write in this string. It took them more characters than just to post the string.
Oh yeah, it's less efficient, but autism's a disability, so I mean,
Yeah, that's a good point. But PGP has its own problems.
Yeah, you linked an article earlier this week about the PGP stuff. I read through it, but I'm kind of about like 50% of the way there. If you want to like go through it, give a summary of it.
Yeah, well, it's been I haven't really looked over it too much in a while. Yeah. Well, first of all, the thing is that as libertarians, or as people that leftists hate, thinking of your security isn't necessarily a bad thing. If you're going to communicate with someone, if you're talking about just like being a libertarian, there was we mentioned before in I think that podcast is getting aired, that a campus reform thing said that ANCAPs and libertarians are basically Nazis. So having a little bit of OPSEC and having a little bit of security is good. And one of the best ways to be secure currently is PGP. But the amount of knowledge that needs to go into learning how to use PGP is like monumental. You can't just find a normie and give them, GNU PG, GPG, or whatever, and a command line and be like, yeah, email me. Here's my public key. Like, they have no clue what that means. Building a web of trust around your key as well. I mean, not too many people are as antisocial enough to go to key signing parties and have their keys signed by a bunch of other people. Like, that's, you need to have a neck beard down to your waist to start doing that. And yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, just for like Switch and server, do you guys like know about PGP and public key encryption, or is this like are we just completely?
I don't really know about it. That's why
It's all a
I've been
bunch
staying
of
mostly quiet.
Moon speak to me, man.
So like basically like the quickest rundown possible is that excludes Bogdanov is the PGP is it's a public key encryption, so that means for each person there's two keys. There's a public key that everyone makes public and well known, and if you wanted to send that person an encrypted message, you would take their public key, take your message, run it through a encryption function, and then you send it to them. That person then has a private key which is known only to them, and then they can use that to decrypt the encrypted message and read the text. And you can also use the private key to sign things, and you would sign a message which you could then decrypt with a public key so that they know that it's from you. And so that's
Like Satoshi Nakamoto signs all of his things with his key. That's how we know that he's the creator behind Bitcoin, and
Okay.
that's how we know that when he says something, it's coming from him.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty ingenious that you just provide your public key and then their private key decrypts it when it's encrypted with their public key.
and like encrypting with a private key to verify doesn't give any knowledge about what your private key is. It's a non-reversible operation. They can just only decrypt it and get the original message and not
But
not your key.
I do appreciate the quick rundown.
and the thing is, for most people that aren't leaking leaking documents from governments to news sources or whatever, it's a bit of a paranoid level of encryption, but it is very secure. But yeah, like we have two people in this channel that hang out with us all the time that talk to us about a bunch of different topics, and they weren't even sure what the full extent of PGP. So you can't expect it to be massively adopted. And with the rise of things like Signal and Telegram, kind of, even though their servers, I think they use closed source software on their servers, and they have central servers that it goes through, which kind of defeats the purpose because that could very be backdoored by a number of people. Basically, this article was saying that with things like Signal, especially, that moving away from this kind of decentralized model and moving to a more centralized model might not actually be that bad of an idea because people will actually use it.
Could you have like a way to sort of distrust the hosting entity, like say Signal or something gets raided by the feds, right? And is there some way that you can set up a system where it's like the messages are useless if not all three parties are verifying?
Well, as long as the as long as it's only converted to plain text on that person's device, it's the server only transmits it, then it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's one of the big problems with email is that as it's being even if it uses TLS, or I think it's TLS that email uses, it's still readable by the mail host.
Oh, so like the mail server decrypts it and then sends it to the user, or
yeah, kind of, yeah. So
okay.
like if you look at a popular hostings alternative email hosting site is called cock.li. And the guy who runs it, I think Vincent Canfield, has a thing about running mail servers. And
Jesus Christ, how about a name?
yeah, oh dude, it's great. The domains they have are even better. They have like TFW, like that face when no.gf.
Oh my gosh.
Hitler.rocks.
Yeah, Hitler.rocks. Just like a bunch of like really great ones. Yeah, and yeah, it talks about how it's like it's not secure. So sending emails, even if it's TLS encrypted, is still Google is reading your emails. Is basically what I'm trying to say here.
Okay.
And PGP is a great way to get around that, but no one's going to use it. So
because
And
it's I haven't used PGP. Like I get the idea behind it, but I haven't actually functionally used it. I assume it's a bitch to actually run.
if you want to use some other kind of like weird esoteric mail client for secure communication, that's fine. But the problem is that everyone else is using Gmail, so they don't have the emails that are stored on your email provider, but they already have all the emails you sent to everyone else because they use Gmail.
So here's a wild idea, right? We know that basically the feds are monitoring emails and digital communications. They're not fucking with mail, right? Like mail is basically who gives a fuck.
Yeah, mail. Well, especially if it's sent through what was it called? USPS.
U.S. Postal Service.
Yeah, I think they need a warrant to open it up if it's not
Right.
crossing a border.
Right. So what you could do, and what's ultimately going to be, more secure in the long run, is you could probably just send like a one-time pad key in the mail, and then send your ciphertext over email. Not give a fuck, and then it's literally unencrypted or literally perfectly secure.
Yeah, that's
And-
actually not a bad idea.
Wait, you said that's a bad idea? Or?
No, it's not a bad idea. I mean,
Okay.
I'm sure some people will be like, well, they could open your mail and not tell you about it, but
Yeah, I mean,
assuming that the state is at least somewhat honest.
You can look in the letter, and if it's been opened, then you know that shit's fucked, and you could say just say, hey, I got the mail, it's good. Send your ciphertext.
But either way, I think every libertarian, every person that everyone should make an effort to add a little bit of security to their life when it comes to on being online. It's going to make the state a lot weaker in the kind of metadata, especially that they have, and it's just an easy way to do it. And you can go as deep as you want, and you can even become a hobby in and of itself. It's a good time.
Yeah, I mean, you've definitely done that yourself, Beer.
Yes, I'm a certified autiste.
Alright, I think we can segue away from this. I think we've settled what we need to say about this, because Switch and Cypher, or not Cypher, fuck, you guys sound the same. Switch and server error, kind of don't really know much about this, so
I do use Signal, but that's about the extent of my encryption.
See, there's a perfect example right there. How, not using PGP, they'll use something like Signal.
I'll segue away to something that I think everyone can relate to, and that's shitty drivers.
Yes.
Like the on the road kind with cars, not like printer drivers.
I have my area that I live. There's a lot of old people, and sometimes I'll have to be somewhere, and they're driving 15 and a 30.
Ooh.
And it takes a lot for me not to try to pass them on a residential street.
Let me tell you a little bit about the city where I live and the drivers that live here. So this is special because I used to live in Tampa, and there's a famous junction between I-4 and I-275, two big interstates that are not actually interstate, but basically two major highways that are within Florida, and where they meet basically turns into a clusterfuck, predictably every single day at the exact same time. And it's just it's god awful. It's bumper to bumper. It's stopped. I thought that was bad. And then I moved here, and I saw one person. They were making a left through a red light slowly. They just sort of kind of slowly creeped through the intersection at a complete red light. Just what the fuck are you doing? I've also seen someone who they backed up. They got on a highway, realized that they had made a mistake, stopped, backed up on the on-ramp, and just fucked off back to I don't know wherever they came from.
Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Just this week. I was
it's super unsafe.
I was driving to a yeah, you think that's unsafe. I was driving to an exam, and there's a tractor on the road. This is sort of towards the beginning of my drive,
and
But
there's
like
a
a
tractor on
tractor
the road.
trailer or like a
No,
farm
like a
tractor?
farm tractor, right?
Okay.
You know, and that's not like unheard of for my area. Like it's not like a farming community, but you know, if you
Yeah.
see a tractor, you're like, all right, yeah, like that's clearly I'm in sort of like a less developed area. So there's a tractor
He's
driving on
Amish.
the road. Yeah, no Amish here. They have to go back. But so there's a tractor driving on the road, right? He's driving, to the side of the road so that when it's safe to pass him, people can pass him, right? He's doing what he's supposed to do. And where I was at this spot on a double yellow line. You can't pass, but like let's be real, like the government's gay and their shit's all retarded, and you can pass on a double yellow line safely. And so people do. Whatever. Who gives a shit? As long as you're safe. Now these people, one person passes on double yellow line safely. All right, whatever, cool. Then we go into a turn, the road takes a slight bend, and it's not crazy sharp, but it's sharp enough to not be able to see around the bend. More people keep passing. SUV comes around going the other way, and I was like, oh fuck me, I might die today. And, yeah, like the SUV almost got ran off the road, and no one got hurt. I guess that's good, but I thought I was gonna fucking die that day.
Who will create traffic laws?
Who will kill themselves on the roads?
We should make breaking traffic laws illegal. That way, people would drive well.
Oh, that's fuck. Why hasn't my county thought of that yet?
Just no one lives where I live, so it's not a big deal.
You've got crazy shitty roads.
Oh yeah, they're like just potholes. It's not even a road. There's like horses, like people on horses that go down the road here. There's no traffic jams.
What about you, Switch?
What's up? So I was reading an article.
Fuck's sake. Shitty drivers.
High energy.
This is quality podcasting.
I like how like a libertarian podcast starts talking about roads.
This is exactly everything I wanted this podcast to be.
He's not talking because he's triggered by having to think about roads.
Actually, well here, what's
Dude, second podcast episode, roads already. We were really held back there, didn't we?
This is episode 1, actually. Episode 0 was last week.
Oh, well, shit then.
what's with this this history of gun control, Colin Noir?
Yeah, I meant to watch that this week and I didn't, so table that for next week, fam. Bam.
Yeah, that's
basically
really good.
He's got the argument that gun control is racist. I haven't listened to the whole thing yet, so.
Well, I
it
know a little
is.
bit of history behind that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like they initially, a lot of the gun control laws were put on the books, so the government would then have the authority to restrict like black people from being allowed to defend themselves or being allowed to, because they were, it was a point that was back when black people were oppressed, and they actually they didn't want that to give them any sort of way to fight back against forces like the KKK and stuff like that. So they passed these gun control laws, which gave the government the authority to decide who can and can't defend themselves. And lo and behold, none of the black people were allowed to defend themselves, only the white people.
Yeah, I watched a bit of that video. I got about 2 minutes in before we decided to start, and they were talking about how apparently the first American, the continent of America, gun control laws were passed around the sort of early 1600s, and I think it was to do 1600s, back when it was still tea and crumpets and that brand of faggotry. Yeah, I'd have to go back and watch the whole video to really get the whole gist of it.
I remember somewhat related. I remember reading about how minimum wage in South Africa was implemented, and that was because the black workers were out competing some of the white ones for lower paying jobs, and if they had to, they were Mexicans basically in America.
Yeah.
They were providing the same service as Mexicans, and the minimum wage just made it so that black people couldn't, it made more sense to hire a white person than a black person.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Um,
doesn't surprise me at all. Like,
and-
I know like a lot of like African places that will just work for dirt fucking cheap because they need to survive.
And that's what blows my mind about like Black Lives Matter and any of these groups is they never talk about shit like that. Stuff that's like, I mean, it's really stuff that actually happened first of all, and things that are like, still going on to this day. They want to decolonize your mind, bro. But they don't think about any of the, there's no introspection. It just seems obvious that you have a minimum wage. They don't question it. It's like, I think it's a marker of a movement that has no intellectual basis. I mean, when you have it,
Yeah,
when
definitely.
you have people like Sean King heading your movement, I think that's pretty telling.
Switch. Do you have any? I think you had some recent stories about your college. Speaking of the decolonize your mind bit, you want to
yeah.
share some stories about that?
Well, let's see here. In psych class, they're pushing this really weird idea that you have developmental stages, and these stages say that first, you as a child when you're growing up, you experience erotic pleasure through oral stimulation, and then when you grow up even more, you experience erotic pleasure through shitting, and then you experience erotic pleasure through your genitals.
So India never made
So
it
on and so
past
forth.
the second one.
Guess not. And let's see what else was there.
I remember taking that in psych class in high school. That was that Freud?
Something like that. Yeah, it was Freud. I remember.
Which, like anal retentive
So
comes from.
our
and stuff.
teacher is super into like the controversies of Freud and surrounding him and stuff, and he will not shut up about him at all. And it's quite tiresome.
What's some like crazy shit that he's talked about with Freud?
Let's see. Put me on the spot, why don't you? I can't come up with it. I have to think back on it. We're moving on to a different topic now.
All right, yeah. Yeah. In psych class, Jordan Peterson talks a little bit about how sociology, which is somewhat related to psychology, is completely Marxist, and a lot of that bleeds over into psychology, and how much of it is just complete bullshit. Not only is it complete bullshit though, but it's more. People see psychology as more legitimate than something like economics, and they would like people who would never in a million years think it's appropriate to diagnose a friend as bipolar, but they will point to an economic policy and say that this is wrong and I know how to fix it. But they're not going to prescribe someone like, um, chloroform or whatever, to like fix their mind. But yet they think they can fix a whole economy, which is just as complex as a human brain because it is made up of human brains. But yeah, man, psychology is just so paused in so many different ways. Again, somewhat related psychology is like critical theory and how that relates to our subconscious biases towards people. And they train people not to have these subconscious biases, which is actually shown to make people more biased against the people they're trying to not make them biased from, because they feel like they're being re-educated, which they are. And yeah, there's no proof of any of this kind of stuff, and yet it is mainstream, taught in universities, psych classes. Absolutely ridiculous. It really saddens me to see universities picking up such shitty lines of it's rhetoric, really. Marxist rhetoric. What were you gonna say, Switch?
I was just going to say that in Soviet Russia, psychology was used a lot to use that for the claim of, oh, you need to go for re-education, or this person who opposes the government or anything that the Soviet Union does is clearly mentally ill and we need to put them in an asylum. So it has a long and storied history in the Soviet Union of being abused for rather evil methods and techniques.
Well, I guess a lot of kind of soft sciences have been really like manipulated by the state, especially mostly against the against undesirables that they don't want. You claim someone is sick, well then they're sick. Like changing the definitions of stuff like that can be very powerful.
And then it's easy to discount a sick person because, oh, look, they're crazy.
Yeah. And yeah, just the changing of definitions of anything, whether it be in the English language or the definition of an illness, is not something that should be in the hands of the state. It's it's not going to end well. Oh, so there's this other video of a anti-Trump rally in Australia, which, from what I saw in it, was absolutely amazing. Because about halfway through, a bunch of like pro-Trump guys show up in MAGA hats. One guy dressed like Pepe, and some like crazy bitch goes off about how like Pepe. I think they said something about Pepe being racist, and that they want to go to war with Trump. Was that right, Switch?
Yeah, I mean, they're in Australia. How are they going to have a war in Australia? Is Trump going to invade?
Yeah, it's just
And more to the point, why are there like people with "Make America Great Again" hats and all sorts of gear in Australia?
yeah, it's insane to import things in that country. They must have paid like enough for that. Well, I guess they have jobs.
Yeah, it just seems strange to have like an entire one country's political party or group movement in an entire another country's borders.
It's definitely meme magic. That's how that happened.
It's true, praise Keck.
But probably in reality, that probably isn't entirely untrue. Like, I'm sure that they were memeing about Trump online, and they're like, "Oh, we need to get some Make America Great Again hats."
Dingoes. Shit like this, though, time and time again, shows how the left has gone from being hippies who had fun, at least in their own degenerate kind of way, into like these weird PC thought police that are anti-fun. They're anti almost everything fun. Like look at some of these anti-Trump memes. They're terrible. Like oh, he's orange. Like, yeah, okay, you're right. He's kind of orange. Like,
Oh, Trump! I mispronounced your candidate's name. I bet you feel really stupid now.
yeah, we bitched about people calling Obama Obama for 8 years, and then we're calling the new president Cheeto Benito, which is actually kind of clever. But I've seen that one like once. I always see Drumpf. Like,
Yeah, Cheeto Benito is a lot greater because then, if you want to call him a fascist, that's the way to do it.
yeah, like that's actually pretty good. But yeah, these people, oh my god, they have absolutely no clue of, it's like they only derive pleasure from signaling to other people. There's no intrinsic, they don't have any intrinsic motivation for what they're doing. It's all, just the acceptance of the group.
It's all about appearing to be what everyone else wants you to be.
Yeah. It's one thing actually that a lot of new right, not necessarily alt right, identity and people come from image boards, or at least are exposed to an image board culture, which is very intrinsically motivated because no one knows who you are. They're not looking through your account history or whatever. You're not getting fake internet points. You're getting replies to your posts, which are very fleeting. So I think it actually gave people, the type of people are going to dress up like this dude as Pepe and scream "Re." They're doing it because they think it's funny. They're doing it for the lulz. They're doing it for intrinsic motivation, and it makes, first of all, it's great entertainment. It looks like a lot of fun, and it's genuine. It comes from a place of genuine creativity and expression. To get a little artsy.
Speaking of which, didn't He Will Not Divide Us get started back up again?
Yes, in Albuquerque. Yes.
Ooh.
Oh,
Wow.
Maybe the Weed Mountain Emperor will show up.
I want to look. Let's see who's there right now. You Matrix is blocking the element.
Oh, this is good pod.
The last one though in New York was amazing. All right,
Oh
let's see
my
what we have
god,
here.
yes.
We have like a bunch of Latino women, Latinx women, and a couple white dudes.
Latinx.
Have you seen that word as well pop up?
Yeah. It's fucking stupid.
What is it?
Tell me you got a link for this.
It's okay. So Spanish is a I guess not completely shit with Spanish. Like I can kind of understand it. It's it's a language with gendered nouns. Like in English, we just say the for any noun, right? Nouns don't really have a gender. In Spanish, nouns have genders, and so Rio is
How
male.
many genders
like,
do they have?
2.
Oh,
Well, actually, I think they might have a neutral one. It's been a while since I studied it, but I know German has a neutral gender.
of course.
But I think Spanish just has 2. I could be wrong though. But so like you've got El Rio, the river, or La Mesa, the table. Rivers masculine, tables feminine. It doesn't really make sense. It's just how the language works. And so Latino would be the male form, and Latina would be the female form. And I guess some people are triggered about that, and so they came up with Latinx, which just doesn't make any sense for how Spanish works. And it also makes no sense as to how to pronounce it, because Spanish is a phonetic language, and that basically violates all the rules of that. So
It's literally spelled like Latin and then just X.
yes,
Latinx.
replacing the A or O with X.
Oh, there's a guy on the stream wearing a Pepe shirt.
Ooh, spicy.
It's very smug Pepe. Just for anyone wondering.
So I see something. So I just saw this online. It's a it's a Kickstart. It's not Kickstarter. I don't know if there's a different site, but it's the same concept. And somebody is starting something called Patriot Peer. Its motto is connecting the silent majority, and it's an idea of people who consider themselves like almost like alt-right type people to put in their information, they're where they can be found. It'll create an interactive satellite map showing where these people are. And this has to be the dumbest fucking thing I've seen all day.
God, the honeypot potential is real.
Sounds like a spook.
This must be those CIA guys.
It makes
Like this looks pretty real.
Let me take a look at this.
Oh no, the Kickstart is just the subdomain. It's kickstart.patriot-peer.com.
Okay. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I
So
didn't
it's
notice
taking
that.
forever to load. It's AIDS.
Oh my god, this is taking forever. Let's see. View page source.
Alright.
I don't know. It opened right away for me.
That seems like this. I don't care to look into it, but it seems like there's a ton of unnecessary shit on this page. Like it loaded way too slow.
I have like 1 billion CSS style sheets. jQuery. Oh my god.
I feel like we need to discuss topics in a flowing manner.
Okay. So with that said, let's move into fully automated communism.
Oh whoa, you mean like
And that robots will never actually make communism viable.
Good talk.
It's not magic.
not even robots can make it work.
Yeah, of course they're all shit posting on R9K.
Oosh. Yeah, no, the idea that we can automate everything on Earth, at least like relatively soon, is a bit ridiculous. Like, if we had unlimited resources, maybe. Which
I like how I basically I shit posted because Switch wanted a better flow of discussion for the podcast, and he just went with it.
I wasn't aware.
Yeah, no, he's like, hey guys, we should have some flow to our podcast, and some sort of natural progression to discussion. I said, fuck that.
that was pretty natural.
Yeah, it was. Have you guys seen the video, speaking of automated communism, of Bill Gates talking about how, robots are going to take our jobs. Well, we need to tax the robots like we tax the workers who would have those jobs.
That was I saw. I didn't see the video,
That's
but I saw the
pretty
title.
retarded.
To pay for the people whose jobs are being replaced to go into caring for other people that need care.
That is about as retarded as Windows 10.
Yeah, it's up there. So what? How do you tax a robot? Like, do they have to file like income taxes at the end of the year, or do they just like give a part of the?
I guess you just put a big extra tax on the corporation that uses them.
I mean, how are you even going to, dude? Like, literally, if you just connect all the robots together with a steel bar, you just claim it's one robot doing all that.
Yeah, exactly. Then you'll have some kind of 3/5 robot rule.
Oh, come on now.
Yeah, they're gonna have like a.
You watch. How much is one robot?
The robots are gonna look back on us and like, look, they considered Arduinos to be 3/5 of a person.
Exactly.
Oh god, it's gonna be great. Yeah, like, but if they're all connected together, like, are they gonna tax it per tentacle, like per arm? That's
I don't
Only
know,
in Japan. They'll only do the pretenticle thing in Japan.
yeah. It sounds.
Dude, didn't they make they made like a real tentacle fucking robot in
I
Japan?
would not be surprised.
Just a tentacle. Acts just like a
That
tentacle.
was crazy, Jap.
Instead of like bull riding in bars in America, they have tentacle riding.
Oh yeah. I've actually got a bull riding video for meme night tonight.
Nice.
Alright, so moving on. What is this militarist ANCAP culture / Republic of Minerva thing I keep hearing about?
That's my personal thing. Alright, so here's a quick rundown for people who don't know about the Republic of Minerva. Let me just look up the Google or the Wikipedia article on them for exact date.
Minerva is what, the goddess of knowledge, if I recall correctly?
I believe so for the Romans. Yeah, alright, so the Republic of Minerva was a micronation created in 1972 in the Pacific Ocean on like an artificial island, right? And basically, the goal of it was to be like a libertarian microstate, right? And then, like, they had it all set up. They had their rules with, no taxation, no welfare state, all that good stuff.
Rules.
And yeah, yeah, they had a quote unquote government, that was basically a non-government, just for classification purposes, I guess. In 1972, and then the Navy of Tonga just showed up and said, fuck you, it's ours. We have more guns than you. And the Republic of Minerva said, aight, cool. It's yours. We're not going to fight you over. And so basically, it was a great possibility of an attempt for a libertarian country to be a thing. And the fact that they weren't willing to fight for it basically doomed them to a weird, obscure footnote on a Wikipedia article.
Well, looking at the map, they look really undefendable.
Well, you're undefendable when you don't have sufficient firepower.
Tonga has a population of 100,000 people.
Mhm.
Although they are like Maoris, right? I wouldn't want to fight them either, dude. You ever see them do like a haka before a rugby game? It's nuts.
I've not seen a Tongan haka. I don't know if they're Maori or not.
Oh
but,
yeah, maybe that's just New Zealand. I don't know. There's some kind of like.
Yeah, New Zealand is the Maori. And this is kind of far from New Zealand, like for non-advanced people. Like it's pretty far.
I can see them on the same side of a map. It's close enough for me.
Alright. Basically, basically that is the negative example of what happens when you have a population that's unwilling to fight for an invasion. They just kind of capitulate instantly. And then sort of the opposite of that would be like the y'all remember the Bundy Ranch standoff?
Yes.
With the the rancher, and he didn't want to give up his farm, and the Bureau of Land Management was like, "Fuck you, give it to us."
Then a reporter asked him what he thought about black people.
Yeah, basically, I don't remember that, but
Yeah.
that sounds right. And basically, they had a ton of militia members show up and just kind of hang out and point guns at feds, and there was a lot of them, and they all had, I mean, they had rifles, they had AR-15s and things like that. They didn't have anything crazy like tanks or bombs or, naval vessels or recreational McNukes. And eventually, the federal government just said, all right, this isn't worth our time. We'll just kind of, go. And that's that's the American government, right? This isn't like a foreign government who doesn't have the craziest military budget in the entire world, right? This is the most powerful military force on the planet. They decided it wouldn't be worth it to go fight a few hundred people with rifles who are willing to actually put up a fight. So the entire thesis of my proposal is that you can have a relatively small and maybe not the most defensible position geographically libertarian area, as long as you have a population that's willing to fight to defend it.
Yeah, no.
And that, neighbors, whatever neighboring state you would have, wouldn't be a problem. Ideally, you actually would have a private nuclear weapon, because that would be the ultimate deterrence, and just no one would fuck with you.
Yeah, but by that point, there's probably gonna be other ways to, live in space or some shit.
Yeah,
Time there's recreational nukes.
that is very true. But basically, the point of you make it not worth the other entity's time to try and conquer you through just having a lot of firepower and training and willingness to use it. I guess that's kind of also the downfall of Lieberland, because I don't think they had any sort of defensive strategy in place.
Well, Lieberland is still the meme's still alive, right?
I haven't been keeping up with it, honestly.
Yeah, because a lot of people like to a lot of libertarianism is just LARPing. Talking about how things would be in a free market society, but not actually how to get there. And in that way, it's very utopian. Even though ANCAPs and libertarians will claim that no, it's not utopian. No, it is. You're talking about an end goal of a revolutionary political and social system, and no way to get there. That is utopian. And
yeah. I mean, I think I've got the easiest way to get there because it requires the fewest number of people to actually go there.
Yeah.
Right? You get a few hundred, maybe a few thousand people there, all armed and at least giving off the impression that you'd be willing to fight to defend yourself.
And to be clear, we're not saying invade an island or something.
No.
If you find unclaimed land that's
Yeah.
in accordance with international law, because you don't want NATO carpet bombing you. It's pretty reasonable.
Pick a spot where nobody really gives a fuck, and just do your thing. You don't cause problems for other people. Ideally, they won't cause problems for you, or you'll be seen as defending against foreign aggression.
But if you're not willing to even put up any type of resistance, if you're going to go as far as to do essentially sea setting, if you're just on an island in the middle of nowhere, you might as well be on an oil platform. It's sea setting. And you're willing to go that far, but not enough to defend it. You believe in this so much, but not enough to do anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't know the exact situation of the Republic of Minerva, but that seemed to be their failing.
And I mean, we're saying this living in Western societies and not willing to give it all up to go move to some island. So it's easy for us to say, but it's you can still identify the problem. And I think the problem runs deeper than just that. It's libertarians in general not willing to be practical. Although that's been changing lately. The ethos of libertarianism has definitely been changing. When you look at Molyneux and Woods and Bob Murphy and people speaking out in favor, not glowing reviews, but not necessarily negative of Trump. That's not something you would have seen in the past.
Yeah, like the recent Tom Woods episode. I think Bob Murphy. I don't remember if it was Murphy or Tom. They described themselves as anti-Trump.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, basically, they're countering lies because they don't like it when people lie, and so they feel the need to, you know, call people out who are lying about a thing. And it just so happens that if people are lying to spread a false narrative about Trump, they kind of look like they're defending Donald Trump, but they would actually try and make an honest critique of him when he does something that they disagree with.
Yeah. Well, that and also
It's just that
they're
everyone's just making dishonest critiques about him, and so they end up just kind of defending him about.
and they've really
things
written
like
off the left as well, which is a big thing, and that's one thing that libertarians also. This is just turning into bitching about libertarians, but it's true. Listen. If you hear like someone that is decently intelligent on the alt-right making fun of libertarianism, listen to them. Don't just say, you're some statist that doesn't know what they're talking about. Listen to what they have to say, because sometimes they actually have very legit criticisms, and it's not coming from a place of social justice. It's coming from a place of like, I think my version of statism will work better, which you don't hear from conservatives and you don't hear from liberals. So it's actually refreshing to hear that a little bit. And I definitely recommend kind of putting your views into the sunlight a little bit to strengthen them. And yeah, that's like one of those things is that the culture matters, and that the culture of the left is destroying Western civilization, which is the only civilization that gives a shit about what you believe in. So,
Feeding into that, do you think that the left and right can continue to coexist in the same damn country, or is there going to be some kind of schism, leading them to bust
Switch.
off?
Fuck off, Calypso.
Oh, you're recording.
No,
too.
sorry, you can. Well, shit. He has to. Well,
no, he has to go back.
Brown, he has to go back. Anyways, shit, that kind of threw me.
A
off.
national divorce.
Well, yeah, switch. I think basically in the next 2 to 3 years, the left is just gonna get its shit slapped around, kind of have a come to Jesus moment and calm the fuck down. That's my hope.
That sounds like a good idea.
I don't know how much that's gonna translate to reality though.
No, I somewhat agree. I think that a lot of normies are seeing this, and one of the great things, and this is kind of agreeing with liberals for all the wrong reasons. Thing is that they see this gender identity thing, and they see the ridiculousness of it, and just the sheltered bourgeoisie kind of attitude that these people have, and a contempt for everything that's working class, while pretending to champion the values of the working class. The working class sees that, and they want them to call them Zer and otherkin. It's really red pilling like the masses. Everyone that I've talked to that's a normie, they hear shit like that, it blows their mind. And it really it pushes them when they would be a centrist or apolitical. It pushes them to the right, and the right is reactionary in some respects. Like, there's a reason that they're called reactionaries. So when the rhetoric from the left will tone down, I believe the rhetoric from the right will as well.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. I just think that I don't know if the left is going to. They almost seem like at this point they're almost in too deep, and it's only going to get worse. But most people, if you talk to anyone who's like a normie, if you talk to most of them, they won't even believe you if you tell them how ridiculous, if you tell them how many genders that well-respected people who they might even consider the people who they think is reasonable believe there are. They're not going to believe
it's
you.
easy in Canada here because I can just say, like, well, look at what they're putting into curriculum. This is actually curriculum. This isn't some kind of like thing on the internet, and this is actually translating into real life. And it's just pretty ridiculous. But yeah, I think they should continue to push their gender their gender agenda. I think it's great because it makes people hate them.
Like honestly, like half of why I'm so edgy is because the left calls people like me like racists and Nazis and homophobes day in and day out, and I just don't care at this point. So yeah, I'll make edgy jokes and not give a fuck about the repercussions because I've been, I'm used to it. I've been getting called this for years now. Like, it doesn't mean anything anymore.
What am I going to be, a double racist?
It's like in the mid conversation talking about the Orlando shooting, I was offering to give my gay friend shooting lessons for free. Just come on down. I'll teach you how to do. I was getting told that I think gay people shouldn't exist, or that was my position, and that I was trying to erase entire groups of people with my epistemic violence.
Yeah, yes, epistemic violence. Yeah, I remember that, dude. That shit was so funny.
That actually might be a better podcast title.
So did you guys hear? Because this just happened. Apparently, Richard Spencer got kicked out of the International Students for Liberty conference after getting into a shouting match with Jeffrey Tucker.
No way. No way.
Oh, there's gotta.
I'm trying to see if the Jeffrey Tucker thing is in. There's a video of it. There's a bunch of people around a table with
Dude,
Richard
that-
Spencer.
Oh my god!
WTF,
I gotta see
I love
this.
Richard Spencer now. That's amazing.
Time to go get my hair cut like him, no homo.
Yeah, oh, dude. Jeffrey Tucker is just so bad. I really hope that Spencer tore him a new asshole, because he deserves it.
He's oh god.
I don't know. There's two videos that look like it could be of it. One of them's 40 minutes, and one of them's 12 minutes. I'm skimming through it to see if I see Jeffrey Tucker come
Jeffrey
out.
Tucker's like that one rebellious teenage girl who gets drunk at a party, and then his dad, aka Hans Hermann Hoppe, has to come pick him up.
Yeah. You want to talk about Jeffrey Tucker for a bit, actually? It's kind of natural. We could talk about these other topics another time as well. Because we already did a security one.
We're at about 52 minutes right now, so we could probably wrap it up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up with
any,
some Jeffrey Tucker.
Yeah.
What would Jeffrey Tucker do if he were here
In
right
the next
now?
like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to say about Tucker was, well, first of all, he used to write great articles. I've met him multiple times at PorkFest. I never really had any meaningful conversations with him other than hey, yeah, Bitcoin's pretty great. Yeah, it's amazing. It's really great. Oh my god. But yeah, he used to have some great things. When he talked about how I think Moriyaku put it as how Lincoln was the devil. It was amazing. And now he just talks about how Big Macs are the epitome of capitalism, and how racist everyone is, and how white people are bad, and we need more brown people in libertarianism because there's not enough brown people in libertarianism. Just for the sake of diversity, we need more. Oh, it's just ridiculous. And what makes this even better is that at the time of the Ron Paul leaks, did I talk about this last time? The Ron Paul leak?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I kind of just vaguely listened
what
to it.
Ron Paul
I'm pretty.
leaks?
Well, there's a Ron Paul newsletter that went around. Yeah, with the racist.
Yeah.
It wasn't even that racist. I can't remember what the actual title was, but it was a big news story. It got covered all the time.
Yeah. I know it was talking about Martin Luther King Day. And these were actually written by, I heard they were written by Luke Rockwell, not by Ron Paul. But it just, or it called Ron Paul's newsletter called Martin Luther King Day, Hate
something
Whitey
like
Day.
that. Yeah. But Jeffrey Tucker said before that everything on that newsletter can basically be attributed to him. Because Jeffrey Tucker was also a ghostwriter for Ron Paul's newsletter. Lou Rockwell and Jeffrey Tucker, but Jeffrey Tucker said he did the majority of it. So he very well could have written that article.
I mean, I would like to see Jeffrey Tucker do a full rebuttal of Murray Rothbard's right-wing populism from 1994.
Oh yeah,
this year.
That'd be amazing.
That would make my day if he could actually pull that off.
That and the case for free trade and restricted immigration by Hoppe. I'd love to hear him rebut that. I don't hear much from left libertarians other than white people are bad.
Ironic shitposting aside, I actually do think that would be interesting.
I completely agree. I would love to hear it. Again, because I don't hear much. I don't hear anything new from left libertarians. They haven't been coming up with anything in the past 5 years. It's just been the same rhetoric. Minimum wage is bad. Also, the state's racist. Minimum wage is bad. State's racist. Kind of go back and forth between that. It's like looking through a Reason magazine headline. It's the same shit.
All white people are fucking devils.
And on that, we should probably end the show.
All right, that's a good part to end the show. Switch, hit us with the drop.
Which one?
You know the fucking end of the show drop. Oh, your mics, your transmitting's fucked and your shit's all retarded. And with
They escape to the Los Angeles underground. There, still wanted. They survive as soldiers of fortune. Bum ba dum bum ba dum bum.